Should be fine. Okay. Okay. So everybody is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Okay. So, hello everyone. We are, like I just mentioned, we will be getting the notes up probably today from the most recent session. But let me go get some water real quick, and then I will go ahead and give a quick recap. 1 second. Okay. Last session, we were at the Topaz Lounge. Toren had quite a bit of luck and managed to win a lot of gold at the table. He won 3 rounds, although he did lose the second one, but he got all his money back in the third. And Ramune and Marina kind of gave him a bit of cover. Now, one of the guys at the table who had lost, his name was Jareg, was a little salty. He was mad, actually, and he kind of stormed out or to the corner. And then he tried to sell you all a fake wand, or it appeared, or at least it looked like a fake wand, to make up for the money that he lost. He seemed to have quite a gambling problem. It was a bit of an issue for him. And he talked about having a wife and kids and this and that. The party quickly saw through that and realized, if you have a wife and kids, how do you have hundreds of gold to be using here? His transparent efforts were immediately figured out, although he did try to sell you this one for a lot of money. And Ramune got the good idea, though. This guy, if he's pickpocketing all this money every night, which he eventually admitted, this may be a guy that we can use at some point. So you kind of you exchanged some information, and you were told that you could find Jarek in the East boarding house. So something just kind of to keep in your back pocket is what Ramune figured. Meanwhile, Irene was on the other side of the room, just kind of talking to everybody, chatting with the other players, Elhane, and she was kind of sure that she knew that the competitor of her alchemy shop that she worked at, and the one that she worked at was called Elixirs and Satchel. So she was pretty sure that her competition was Saito and Son, was doing some shady business. Wasn't 100% sure. She'd heard rumors. But then when you spoke with the other guy, he just wasn't trying to hear anything. The other player, he was just like, "Look, what do you want? I don't want to be buttered up. Let me know what you want." And so Irene kind of got him to admit that this guy was definitely selling some illegal alchemy, Saito, from the other shop, out of his shop. He was friends with the guy, and he might be being pressured by some people, but he didn't have all the information. So the party decided to head directly to Saito and Son, realizing that this person could come that night because, and this is after a short conversation with Esta, but that this person could come that night. So you leave the Topaz Lounge and you head to Saito and Son. Now, while in Saito and Son, you do a little bit of, looking around, a little bit of searching, and you do find that there's one person inside of the shop. And so you knock this guy out, and that is where we are. So I'm going to bring us all this map. Let me unpause the game. Remember to do that for once. And I'm going to bring us all this map when I get it up. Cyto and Sun. There we go. Okay. Everybody should be on this map. All right, you have just knocked the person out that you found in the shop. What would you like to do next?
Cat sees nothing.
I'm going to turn your sound up, Cat, just a bit, and give me a second to do that. Your little thing. I'm going to turn actually everybody's sound up. And if you can please repeat what you said.
Cat sees nothing.
Oh, you do? Okay, let me fix your token. Go ahead with what you were going to say, Cypress.
Oh, never mind. I just loaded in. I had the wrong idea about what was going on. I didn't realize everybody was already in here.
Yeah, it takes the maps a minute to load up.
It does. Exactly. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Let me fix Kat's token so she has sight before we get going. Okay, let's fix that. Okay, so if I go here, there. Oh, that's weird how that happened. Okay. I did not change that setting.
But Cypress will talk to the group and he'll say he's knocked out. He hasn't seen us yet. We should probably hide who we are when we talk to him, or possibly block his vision when he wakes up, blindfold him or something so he can't identify us. Also a good idea.
All right. Hey, Ramune, how about you and I search for like a ledger or something?
Okay, Kat, hit refresh. Let me know if you can see, please.
I can see.
Great. Okay. So Ramune and Toren are searching for a ledger. Go ahead and roll both, please. Investigation.
I remember what size these were.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So this alchemy shop has a lot of books on the walls in kind of what looks like the back office. It has a desk. It has some crates, and you do a pretty thorough search, and both of you are looking pretty hard both in all these things that you see. Toren, though, you go over to the desk and before I mention the desk, you look at all the books, and the books appear to mostly be, let me grab the books first. The books appear on the shelves to mostly be instructional guides on how to create alchemy or books about plants. They're very complex recipes that can only be done by an expert, and you all recognize that alchemy is a dangerous and exact science that is only to be done by a registered alchemist. He has a lot of these books, a lot of them you can't understand, but nothing that looks like a ledger until you get to the desk. You open up the desk and you notice, and give me 1 second, actually, do something. Didn't have my notes up. Concentrated. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you notice like a leather-bound book that looks like a journal, and you're like, okay, this must be the ledger. And so you start kind of thumbing through it, and it's definitely a ledger. It has orders listed in it, and you just see a meticulous list of orders going back for weeks. And as you continue to thumb through looking for something interesting, you kind of get towards the end, and you notice a difference between the notes that have been kept throughout the last probably year or so, because this book is pretty full. with his kind of messy scrawl. You can read it, but it's pretty full. To about the last maybe, month or so, it's the notes don't appear to be as meticulous. One of the things that you notice is that there are some entries that are missing the ingredient. You see numbers, you see, it looks like dates, but you don't see names of plants or herbs. You see like numbered, what appears to be codes. Some of them look normal, but some of them look coded. And you see a bunch of these groups of code, which are a lot different than all the meticulously labeled ingredients from the earlier pages. That definitely stands out to you. You continue turning through and you're seeing more and more of these coded, dated entries. Then you get to the back and you see shipment 1, and you see that cross through. Shipment 2, you see that cross through. And you see shipment 3, and you see it circled in red. And it's just kind of weird. You're not sure what all that means, but, maybe the guy selling legal alchemy, maybe this is something that he doesn't want anybody to see. More than likely, maybe not. Who knows? So that's what you see.
Huh. Hey, Ramune, take a look at this. Some weird code going on here.
Go ahead and roll. No, it's an actual code. But maybe you can decipher the code. So go ahead and it is not Thieves' Cant. It's not Thieves' Cant. It's something that you don't recognize. So whoever wrote this, it may be their personal code. But yeah, but maybe it has a way to decipher, maybe it's decipherable. You can try to decipher it if you want by rolling intelligence. Mhm.
And
Go-
I assist Ramune, and never mind.
Okay. So you look really, really closely. You try to kind of see if there's anything repeated. And this is kind of a weird personal type of code that this person's made up, whoever has done this. But as you look closely, you get, so it's 2 words that appear to be the coded word. And you get that the first one starts with a W, but you can't figure out the rest of it. And the second word starts with a T, and you can't figure out the rest of it. So it's a little, you pour and pour and pour over it, but you can't figure out much more of it than that. I do also want to mention, let me check something real quick. So, Toren, you were in this place before, as was, I can't remember who went to the alchemy shop. It was Toren and Andil, I believe.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Andil, Cat wasn't. She was AFK when we were doing that.
Right, but that's okay though, because I'm talking about the characters. So, Andil, yes, I just want to remember who was here. So, Andil, when you kind of were walking around, stuff like that, you notice that the person who has been knocked out is the same person that was helping you that day at the shop, who introduced himself as Saito.
Interesting to development. With interesting developments. Yes, that. Hmm.
Oh
That
God.
One Punch Man's name. I had no clue. I just thought it. I thought it was cute and
Isn't-
alliterative.
I
Kaido
thought it was
and Sun.
Saitama.
It's Saitama.
I like the alliteration. That's why I picked it. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, One Punch Man is out. Clearly his punch was not on point that day. When you did it or this night. But yeah, you recognize the Masaito.
Okay. I'll relay this information to the others.
Mhm.
So, I believe this to be the person that we encountered at the alchemy shop.
Oh yeah, I think this is the guy who I think he owns the shop actually. Should we tie him up? I don't really know what to do with this guy.
Well, what I'd like to do then is maybe take just some cloth and like not like a bag over his head, but like just like blindfold him, and I'll likely tie his hands behind his back with some rope. Not not like a hog tying, but just enough.
Okay, so you gently tie Saito up. It sounds like you're doing it pretty gently but firmly. And yeah, where do you want to put? Do you want to put him somewhere? Do you want to keep him where he is, or?
Maybe if we moved him into his study, so a less chance of disturbance. Maybe just like in the corner here,
Okay.
or maybe up against here. I don't know what anyone prefers.
The
I
front
thought
door
you
was
I thought
never
you
locked.
unlocked the front door.
Oh, you're right. It was. I'm sorry. Yes, and it was. I think the lock was picked. Yeah, the lock was picked. Hmm. Okay, I'll go ahead and lock it. Okay.
Oh, Erica,
Mhm.
while Ramune and Toren were searching, Irene would have cast detect poison and disease.
Okay.
It's in the whatchamacallit. So it lasts for 10 minutes, so I can, effectively just see if there's any poisons, poisonous creatures, or diseases or the like within basically like the entire shop.
Okay. Okay, so you cast poison and disease, and you go over the entire shop, kind of in some of the bottles, because there are some bottles of liquids along the shelves. Some of the plants you also go over, and you meticulously go through everything that may look like it may be some type of, let's say, alchemy or an alchemy ingredient. And you actually don't find any poisons. Okay, we'll lock the back door. Okay. So you actually don't find any poisons at all.
So I'll say, that does seem to line up with him searching for these ingredients. There don't appear to be any poisons on compound, at least, or perhaps prepared ones.
Hey, Ramune. When at the very back of that ledger, wasn't one of the shipments not crossed out?
Ramune, you with us?
There, I mean, you might have gone AFK for a second.
But yeah, there was shipment 1, shipment 2, and then shipment 3 was not crossed out but circled in red.
Yes, shipment 3
think-
was crossed out.
I was like, you think that one might be arriving soon?
Makes perfect sense that it would be.
Now, I have a question about Saito. He was knocked out by Ramune, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I remember correct. Okay. Okay. So how I don't think we even did an attack roll. So why don't you go ahead and roll I just had you knock him out, right? Or did we do an attack roll? I can't remember.
I think there was an attack roll.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, go ahead and roll a d4. So nope, he's just knocked out for a while. He's gonna be out for a while.
But we can use healing to bring him back up into the light of consciousness.
Yeah, this was just gonna determine if he was gonna start waking up on his own, but nope. You can bring him back though, yes.
Hold on a minute. This is an alchemy shop. Do they have smelling salts?
From your first time looking around, you didn't see anything like that. Yeah, you didn't see anything like that. You're not sure. Oh, go ahead. You did see some like grainy materials, but you're not sure if they're smelling salts.
I'll go ahead, Ramune.
Yes. Go ahead and go ahead and roll investigation, please. To look for this specific thing. Okay.
Nice.
So Ramune, you get a really good idea. You have a moment of inspiration, remembering back to the rumors that the Baroness may be involved in some things that may not quite be above board. Not specifically this is what you've heard, but you've heard that she's involved in some other things, suppression of people's artistic expression, specifically through the Harlequin Theater. And so might be connected to some of this. And so you look through, again, you look for loose papers, you look for inside of some of the books to see maybe there's some information inside of one of the books in the form of a page or in the form of writing, and crests, symbols, code words, anything. But at last you don't find anything that resembles anything like that. At least not from what you can see. Really good idea, by the way, and good memory with that. But unfortunately here, you don't find anything.
I would like to go search the cabinets and see if I can find something to wake Saito up.
So
I tell Toren I can wake him up as soon as we're ready to engage with him.
Yeah, but yeah, true. I was just gonna see if I could find something so we could do the same thing without wasting energy.
It's one point out of 20. If it makes a difference later, then I'll I'll let you know. That'll be very sad.
okay.
Okay. I'll just turn to the group before any waking and say, remember, he's had some tough choices to make, and from what we've gathered, it seems like he's between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. So let's be firm, but no need to take things over the top.
Okay, so you're going to heal him to kind of bring him back to consciousness?
I guess before I do, if anyone has any things they want to say, like while he's unconscious, or like things just to any plans or anything that anyone wants to do specifically or discuss.
I mean, did we actually blindfold him? Are we gonna let him see us and stuff?
Yeah, he's blindfolded and tied up.
Oh, okay. Then I'm good.
Well,
Okay, so he's facing the wall. I can actually move the token to do that.
I probably also say I mean, are we trying to scare information out of him or see him eye to eye? Because it looks like we're on the path to scaring him to his core more than we would have already.
Well, what all do we want to ask him besides the obvious of what is he doing? I mean, we got his ledger, but
Well, a couple of things indeed. There's the code, who he's been working for, what exactly we want him to make, when the third shipment is, where it is, what's in the shipment.
all right. But to your earlier question, Irene, I think, I mean, we knocked the guy out, tied him up, and blindfolded him. I think we're on the path to scaring him out of what he's doing more than anything right now.
I mean, at the same time, he presumably doesn't want to be threatened by mobsters. We could have him actively recruited as a double agent, potentially.
Yeah, but at the same time, we don't know what will happen after we wake him up, so just be prepared for this to go tits up.
Okay, so it sounds like we're doing at least, well, maybe all of you. It sounds like then Ramune's idea to do the voice disguise as well as keeping him blindfolded, and it's pretty agreed upon that this guy's going to be pretty scared. I think you all have a good idea of the questions that you're going to ask him. So anything else anybody wanted to add?
Oh, wait, but before we wake him up, I'm gonna check him for any magic seals that might shut him up, like yeah, like the bandit, the not the bandit leader, the barbarian leader.
Hmm.
So I'm going to ritual cast detect magic.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so you're doing both jewelry and also got it. Perfect.
Also, might want to see if he has a fake tooth filled with cyanide or something.
Okay. 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 So I'm not going to make you. Oh, go ahead. Right. He's not wearing a hat. Yeah, unfortunately.
So
No,
unfortunately, we're not interrogating Odd Job.
exactly. Okay. So, Toren, while you're ritual casting detect magic, Ramune, you're just searching the sky, searching his pockets. He appears to have a ring on his left hand. Looks like a wedding ring. You could take it if you want. I'm not going to make you do investigation for this. I mean, this guy's literally out. You're searching for jewelry in the normal places you would find jewelry. No reason to do investigation. He doesn't wear a necklace. He has on what looks like a rope bracelet. Um, but nothing fancy, just with maybe a couple of like beads on it. Looks very old. No other jewelry other than that. You look at for his body for like marks or anything like that, anything that looks unusual. You don't really see anything that would look like a marking that would be put there by someone. So you can choose to take these two pieces of jewelry, the bracelet and the ring that you found. They don't appear to be significant. Again, it's just a plain gold band on his left hand and a bracelet. Okay, so you just take them, I'll put them on the desk. Got it. Right. Right. Okay, great. Okay, so you remove the jewelry, you place it on the desk. So Toren, by this time your spell is completed, and you don't detect any magic on this guy. So whatever this marking was, or whatever it was that these people had that didn't allow them to speak, he does not appear to have it.
It also is in a radius as well. So is there anything around him?
No,
No.
no magic, not at all.
All right. Okay, so as far as I can tell, this guy doesn't have a kill switch on him, so
Okay.
hey, Cypress, why don't you do that?
Okay. Why don't all right, so if I'm gonna do the interrogating and we're gonna be disguising voices and stuff, Cypress will mention to the group about the time he read Mother's mind, and say he'll do that as a a last resort, because he's still a little scarred from it. And Cypress will cast enhance ability on himself
Okay.
to give him advantage on charisma checks. And oh yeah, just general list of questions, I guess. All right, unless everybody is just going to disguise their voice when they talk, then that's fine. Anyway, no, I think I'm good if everybody else is ready.
Okay, Irene, you ready to wake him up?
Yep, I'll go ahead.
Okay, so let me check something real quick. There's this new. Okay, so we're doing, what's the spell? Healing. Which spell are you doing?
Oh, he's
Oh,
going to be
just
doing
lay of hands.
lay on
Lay of
hands.
hands.
I'll give him a 1 point of lay on hands.
Lay of hands. Okay. On. What? Huh, that's interesting. Oh.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find something real quick, and it appears that I don't have. Huh. Okay. I'll explain to you guys after the game what I was looking for. Okay. All right. So, Irene, you slowly lower your hands onto Saito. They glow just faintly, and you hear like a good near, and you hear Sharpen take a breath, and he's like, you hear a, uh, uh, uh.
So as he is waking up, Cypress will reach out to him telepathically and say into his mind, don't be afraid, you're not in danger.
As soon as Cypress says this, you notice and I'm going to say Cypress notices this because you're the only one who realized that you've spoken to him so far. You notice him tense up, and his hands are tied, but he kind of starts to struggle against his the cloth that he was tied with. He's not able to get out of it, but he's just kind of struggling, and he's like, oh, head hurts. Head hurts. And you hear him saying this kind of quietly. And he says, who are you?
And I'll say again telepathically to him that we're here to investigate some shady dealings that have been going on, and it seems like your shop might be involved. We found some interesting entries in your ledger over here, and I really would like an explanation. There's some bad people involved, and you seem like you're in a position to help us, and we would really like to not hurt you, but we need to know more information about what's going on here.
And he kind of, and he's actually speaking out loud. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
he
I
says,
mean, you would have to, yeah.
right. Oh, this isn't like message where he got it. Okay. So I was thinking it was like message at first. We could give back a telepathic message. Okay. So he says in just like a pained voice, he seems to be in some pain from it getting bonked on the head still, which is pretty, understandable.
Fair.
And he says, oh, he says, I swear, uh, don't arrest me. Don't arrest me. Guards, your tactics have become even worse. But I'm not doing anything. Anything that I do is above board.
I'll say to him the legality of your actions isn't really the question here. I see you have some kind of system to avoid culpability, but it's not robust enough to keep us out. We need to know what you're actually doing here, and I'll mention the ledger again, and you've got a shipment coming in. Who is it for? Or you've got a shipment, you're handling a shipment. Who is the shipment for?
He doesn't say anything for like a second, as if he may be pondering over what he's going to say next, and he comes out again with the same pained voice. He says, you don't sound like the guards. And then and as he says that, his voice rises in more fear, as if it would almost have been better if you were the guards, and from his point of view. And he says, I can't tell you that, but it's been hard. Business has been rough since, it's harder for me to get ingredients. I was only supplementing my income. Most of my income comes from normal alchemy and herbs, but I had to do it. And then he seems to switch gears, remembering that you said the legality wasn't in question, and he says, but you don't probably care about that. I can't tell you anything else.
Yeah, I'll say to him again, we're not here to shut you down. We're here to find who you're working with. We can protect you from them, but we need to know if before people get hurt. That's all we're trying to do here.
And he says, you protect me? It's too late. I'm already in too deep. I can't get out of it. There's no getting out of it. And he says, and I'd rather you kill me than them find out that I told you anything. So do what you must.
All right. On hearing that, Cypress will, realize that, if this guy is willing to just die instead of talk to us, he should probably switch gears. So he's going to try and detect thoughts.
Okay, you're doing surface thoughts, right?
No, I'll force him to do the save so I can read deeper.
Okay, you will do a charisma save. Let's do that.
Just display that.
Charisma save. Do-do-do-do-do. And yeah, he fails. Just failed. Okay. So as you concentrate and as you go into his mind, you see an image of him at the counter. He is organizing some things, and then you see him go to the door and lock it, and you see him open up a crate and is organizing some things kind of behind one of the boxes. This is going in, pretty fast speed for you.
Yeah.
He's putting them behind the boxes, and then you hear a rhythmic knocking. It's definitely at a pattern. And you see him like blanch, and then he walks from behind the counter and he opens the door. He's immediately shoved to the side by a guy who looks to be human. And he's pretty tall, bald, has facial hair, and he goes directly to the counter and he says, "I," and he looks at him and he says, "Which shipment is this?" And Saito says, "Shipment 2," in a very scared voice, and he says, "I." And he points at the back. Saito quickly gets up and he throws a bunch of things in. As he's throwing these things together, the things that you saw him put away earlier, you see some guys come in behind this, and it's two what appear to be thugs, more than likely, just some muscle that are standing behind him. And he quickly throws the stuff in the box. It looks to you like just some green leaves with a little like a pink colored flower that you can see on the leaf, some type of flowering plant. And he throws them all in the box and he wraps it up so it's, whatever way he needs to preserve it. And he takes the box and he sets it on the counter. And the guy is like, "Hey," and he looks at his two goons who look in the box and appear to be counting it. And one of them shakes his head, and as soon as he shakes his head, you see the fear inside in Saito's face, and he's like, "Oh man, that's all I have. That's all I have right now." And the guy's like, "Mm." And he says, "This is not what we agreed to." It's like, "Man, no, I'm sorry. I'll have more in a week or two. Just I can't keep up anymore." And he disappears really distressed, and the guy kind of like nods at the guys. They jump the counter and they kind of rough him up a bit. They give him some punches in the gut in a way that you recognize to be not to leave marks when they body punch. And you see Saito like double over and just kind of like hold his stomach and kind of like doubled over. You hear a voice in the background coming from the office area. And the voice is a younger male voice, and it says, "What's going on out there?" And you hear him say, "Everything's fine." And he shouts this. And he says, "Go home. It's not, I'm taking care of some important business." And you hear the door close, and then the scene goes back to the guy, the leader, and the two guys who have stopped hitting him at this point. And the guy says, "Hey, it'd be a shame something happened to that nice boy you got there, eh?" And Cypress is like, "Look, okay, I'll have it. Just come back in a week, okay? Okay?" And he looks at the guys and he nods, and they leave the store. The vision goes away.
Oh, so he was bluffing. He's got a son to live for. Okay. Do I catch any names or anything while I'm in his mind?
No names are said. Whether that's deliberate or not, you can't be sure, but you definitely did not hear a name.
Okay. So I'll I'll say to him, I know the kind of trouble you're in. I've seen it. I've seen the can I make a check to try and identify those flowers I saw?
Sure. Go to nature or survival, whichever is better.
Okay. One of those is pretty good for me. Nice.
Okay. So you saw the flowers at a distance, and it appears you can't quite tell exactly what it is, but you do know that these are one of the plants. This is a plant that can be found in the Wretch. It's something that you've seen before, but you can't quite remember the name. And by the way, that was a really high DC because you were, if you had, because you were kind of like seeing them at a distance.
Yeah, I saw it in a
Yeah.
memory. That's fair.
But you do recognize though that these are plants that you can't quite remember the name, but you've seen them out in the wild. So what you can discern is that even at the best of times, these plants would be very difficult to get, even if the world was normal again, or well, you're in a new normal, but even if it was pre-event, these plants would have been extremely hard to harvest. And so it kind of makes sense as to why he would be trying to sell these at a high price. Secondly, you're thinking like, why would these be the plants as you think about it, even though you don't remember the name, you're like, a lot of these plants are illegal to harvest because either they're endangered or they can be used for things that are illegal, such as creating very potent poisons. And you remember hearing that since the event, some of these plants have become even more potent. Maybe this is one of them, maybe not, but you're kind of mulling over all this information in your head. Plants difficult to get, possibly more potent than normal, used to make a more potent than normal poison. They're not poisonous themselves in this form, at least, because that's already been determined by the check earlier. So there's that. And possibly illegal because they're endangered or something to that effect.
Gotcha. I'll relay to Toren and Ramune psychically that like we're looking for like a pink flower. It's not a poison. It gets turned into a poison. And then I'll turn back to the Saito and I'll say well, you said you would rather die, but I know you have a son, and I know you wouldn't want to leave him alone. And I'm not gonna hurt you, but these guys might. And I promise we can protect you. So if you want to help us out, we will keep you and your son safe. And there's really no other options here. People are gonna get hurt, and you got to protect yourself and your son. And obviously you know, we're the bigger concern right now.
As he says that, I'll lay on hands him for another 4, and kind of just whisper, we are, as you said, we are well beyond the gods.
So as Irene puts another hand on his shoulder and gives him a little bit more lay on hands, he perks up even more. Some of the color starts to come back into his face, and his eyes flutter open even a little bit more under the blindfold. You can't see that. That's not a great description. So he, again, silent for a second, and go ahead and roll persuasion, Cypress, please.
Okay. Oh my god.
Okay. So, considering kind of what you said, he seems again to be considering...
sorry. Enhanced ability, right?
No, I broke it to cast
Sorry. Excuse me.
Okay. So he's like he paused for a second and then he says, "No one can help me. It's too late. You may want to help me, but you don't know what we're dealing with here. You don't know what you've gotten yourself into. You should just leave and just forget you were ever here. You don't want to get involved in this, I'm telling you."
I will ask Irene if she wants to take over from here, since it seems I'm not able to get under this guy's shell.
Okay. So as he says that, okay, so Irene will say, here's the thing. We know almost exactly what we're getting into. That's why we're getting into it. So people who've made bad decisions like you, or people who may be dragged along like your son, don't have to continue suffering. So what we need to know, if you're saying we don't know what we're getting into, what are we getting into? Where can we find them, or when will they come back so we can intercept and protect you and your shop?
So with the words first coming from Cypress, combined with your words, Irene, and the clear desperateness of his situation on all ends at this point, go ahead and roll one more persuasion at advantage to see if he'll tell you this information.
Okay. Do I have enough time to channel my divinity, or should I have said that beforehand? Super fair if I should before.
In this case, I'm going to say that, yeah, go ahead and do it. That's fine. Maybe you thought of it and okay. Is that a crit?
Okay.
No, not quite.
Almost. So that would be a 30.
Gotcha. Okay. So you hear a large and he says, "Well, I suppose it can't be worse than it is. It can, but what do I have, right?" You said it, referring to what Cypress said earlier. And he says, "You're not going to believe me, but I don't know who they are. I don't know their names. They don't use names. They come in, they take the shipment, and they leave. And they tell me what to get them next. They are actually going to be here any minute now. I would suggest that you leave, although," and he kind of chuckles to himself, "you're probably not going to want to do that. So they're going to be here to pick up the next shipment soon. And hopefully they won't destroy my shop this time. They've threatened to do it a lot of times. So I hope that it doesn't happen this time. And he just kind of like shrugs.
Saito, we're going to make sure that absolutely does not happen. Let me see. So I'll kind of like usher him to stand up.
Okay.
And turn, and I'm gonna look at the blindfold and kind of look around, like kind of like point at it with my eyes and like look around the room and say, like is it if we're gonna use him as bait, should we take this off now?
You're asking the group, right?
Yeah, the group.
Yeah. Cypress will ask. We'll mention that we should probably get the name of the flower before we completely ease up on them.
And you say that out loud, right? Like give us the name of the
Yeah.
flower. Okay. He says he seems to be considering it, but then he just is out with it, and he says it's called worm tongue. And
Okay.
he spells it WYRM tongue. And everybody who's proficient in nature, go ahead and roll, or survival, go ahead and roll that check, please, to see if you can glean more about this item. Also, anybody who's proficient in history, go ahead and roll a check on that as well, please. Okay.
Okay, my thing ain't working. It's not rolling. Okay.
So, by the way, if you all want to roll, you can also. Are you trying to roll through D&D Beyond or Foundry? You can do both.
D&D Beyond.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Yeah, try doing it then through your Foundry character sheet. See if that works. I don't know what's going on. There you go.
I know.
Okay. Was it just delayed? Was that what it was?
No, I reloaded Foundry and then rolled again.
Gotcha. Okay.
20 survival, 21 history, 21 nature. We have it on.
Well, I rolled 17. I have nature +4.
Yeah, your nature is really good. I know. So yeah, some really good rolls here. Okay. So as soon as he says worm tongue, Cypress, you remember from seeing in your dream, you remember where you've seen this plant. Or like, that's it. Toren, you also remember as a person who's out in the wilderness and in the woods a lot hunting. This is a plant that is very endangered, and it used to be harvested in mass, and the flower was used as a garnish, not even food, but a garnish. It got really popular to be used as a garnish on fine dishes. And so because of the shade of pink that is quite unusual in most plants, it was used a lot, and that led to it being endangered. And so it was no longer allowed to be harvested. Additionally, you both remember from past experiences that this plant the leaf part of this plant can be broken down into a poison when mixed with some other ingredients for hunting, usually used for hunting. However, since the event, the poison has gotten the plant has gotten a lot more potent. And so people don't even use it for hunting anymore because it even ruins the meat depending on how you mix it. Now, there's lots of recipes for poison, so there isn't just one way to do it. So, but you know that this is a key base for different types of poisons. And it's usually it's basically an enhancer. It's the part of the recipe that enhances the poison, and it's become very, very potent. That's what you guys have thought of. Oh, and then the history. Okay. Now, Andil, you, as soon as you hear a little bit more about this plant, you're like, you're like, yeah. And you remember that Jandar from the Honored Sons, since you've been with him for a while, is an expert on poisons. So maybe he can tell you a little bit more. Now, Esta did briefly mention this, like for a second, I believe. Maybe I didn't say it, but she would have in the conversation when you all were speaking to them the first time you met them. And so Jandar, the elf, who is also a ranger, is an expert in poisons. He might have more information about whatever is going on here or whatever is being concocted. So after getting this information, Saito, he seems kind of resigned to just going along with the flow at this point. He doesn't really have a choice. He's realized that. And he repeats, he says, "They're going to be here soon. Literally any minute." You see him glance at oh, he still has his blindfold on. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So he says, literally any minute. And he says, "You all need to just make a decision right now."
Which door do they usually come through?
He says, "The front door."
And they usually collect the things from you where?
I just package it up. The worm tongue is in the front there. And he nods to the left corner of the room, which is with his head. He can't see it, but he nods over there. There are some boxes that definitely went through over there when you all searched the store earlier, but you did not recognize them as anything because they weren't poison and they weren't. So they're out in the main part of the store, Toren. So over where Irene is, that's where they would be. It's all on the map. The map doesn't have boxes over there, but there are boxes over there. And yeah, definitely something you had gone through earlier, but you didn't recognize it for what it was because it's not poisons. It's just a plant, as far as you would have known. Yes. Yeah, so you can go ahead and so you can go ahead and take and so you easily find it. I mean, there's a box in the corner. You open it up and it has this flower that Toren immediately says that's it as soon as he sees it, recognizes the pink in color. And yeah, you can grab one. It's like a flowering plant, so it's green leaves and a little pink bud coming out of it. And so you grab one. So the box is full of these things. It's pretty full. So Saito kind of he says, how many are you? Can you untie me? I need to meet them when they get here."
Hey, oh,
Hmm. Their tails. You might let this one go. Heads or tails? Okay, so one is heads, two is tails. I'm going to do a public roll.
Ah, yes, my good friend Cypress Duskweave, who lives down.
It's like say his name, his email address, his social security number.
So what you said tails, right? Tails, right? Oh no, it's heads, you guys. Okay. All right. So he doesn't seem to acknowledge hearing the name, but you definitely said it.
I'm gonna smack Ramune in the back of the head and walk back in the room.
Give him a little like playful laugh. Say again.
Oh, I said
No,
that.
telepathically.
Yeah.
It's like he was still unconscious when that happened.
He was conscious at that point. That's after Cypress had, questioned him.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah. Okay. So he doesn't. He makes no indication of hearing the name, even though it was said. He's still pretty. I guess the word is compliant and just kind of sitting there waiting for what's going to happen next. And so, yeah. So what would you guys like to do? He still continues to insist that whomever is coming is going to be there in any second.
I will say, I could use a silent image right before they arrive to create something for us to hide behind. So we could hide.
Like fake
We
door
could go
or
like
something.
yeah, or like just like a big random like box of supplies marked I don't know mushrooms, and like a big box like labeled with mushrooms, and then as soon as they like get inside, we jump them.
How tall is the counter?
So the counter is about, for you, Toren, a little bit taller, but the average person who's like, let's say, 5'9" or 10, about waist height.
Can I hide under the counter?
Yeah, you had an counter. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I should have put like a wall so you couldn't jump over it. Because so jumping over the counter is possible. So there's a door here. So let's make this work. So there's like, how you do that little like open, door opening to kind of get from behind the counter. There's one of those and it's right here. Let me draw the map. Oop, that's not as straight as I wanted it, but that may be. Let's try a straight line this time.
Wow, that's how my mother feels about me.
What?
I'm kidding. Sorry.
I walked right into that, you guys, I gotta admit. Okay. I really did. Okay, so there's a door, if I can do it. Okay. Weird how that works. That's so, it's so weird because um it doesn't let you like it doesn't let you stop drawing. So maybe if I do escape, does that do it? Interesting. There we go. Okay, door here. All right. Anything else is difficult terrain to jump over the counter. It's double movement, basically. Okay. Possible, very easy for all of you to do, including Toren, but it does take double movement to get over, unless you walk through this area. Okay, so that's that. What would you all like to do to kind of set up? Other than Toren hiding under the counter. Got that so far. Did you want to do the box, the image? Did anybody else have any other plans? Uh-huh. Yep, you can do that.
Can I prepare a spell to cast?
Which spell?
Chromatic orb.
So if you're preparing a spell and you know it can be seen kind of shimmering on your hands, right? As it's like kind of going. So it might you can hold a spell, but they might be able to see that. So if you're trying to be stealthy, if you're trying to hide, that may be an issue because it kind of sits
Oh,
there on your hands as
Yeah.
you cast. So
Uh,
just throwing that out there, you can definitely do it if you want. And also it would depend on how long it takes them to get there as well, because you can only hold a spell for so long.
yeah, I think normally, because holding stuff is for combat, so it's like within the 6 seconds of a round, and you use your
Exactly.
reaction there.
As soon as I was like, I'll just like load up my crossbow and just be prepared to feather someone.
Okay. All right. So we have Cypress and Andil. What do you all want to do? Did you want to join Irene, or did you want to do something else behind the box, or did you both want to do something else?
I'll join Irene.
Okay.
Also joining Irene.
Okay. So there's just the box in the corner. Now I know you guys didn't say this earlier, but are you untying Saito? I won't make you go back and do it. Are you untying Saito?
Yeah.
I was like standing there for.
Okay. Andil, are you hiding under the counter at the door?
I was heading over.
Okay, because they're in the other corner over there. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So Saito then is going to just come to the desk. And do you have any instructions for him? Let me shut the door.
Keep it cool.
Be cool.
And we should probably say if you could like say, I don't know, say the word mushrooms when they're like right up like right up in the room properly, because I guess most of us wouldn't have a good view of what's happening just hearing.
Correct. None of you would see this as it's happening. Wait, now question though. You can see through the image. No, you guys be able to see because you can see through the image because you know that's the
we'd know what it was. We know it's an illusion, so we can see
right.
through it. Yeah.
But Toren and Ramune wouldn't see it, so he can see it for them if you want to do that.
Mushrooms is a go word.
Got it. Okay. So everybody gets into place and Saito is pacing uncomfortably. You guys can see it, and Ramune and Toren, you see his feet as he kind of walks by, nervously kind of humming, and Ramune, you can hear the footsteps. And finally, after what seems about 10 minutes, just as he said, you hear a loud rapping on the door in a syncopated pattern. And he just says, he whispers, he says, "All right." Walks towards the door. You're either seeing this or you see footsteps. And the people in the corner behind the image even see some beads of sweat coming down his forehead. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a key, unlocks the door, and opens it. The second he does that, a guy lumbers in and gives him a shove. The same guy, Cypress, that you saw.
Oh.
This is definitely the guy. And Saito looks at him and says, "All right, I'm getting it. Hold on." And the guy says, "Aye." And he says, "Which shipment?" And he says, "Shipment 3." And he heads back to the box as the guy who is receiving the shipment comes to the desk. he says, I just got some mushrooms in too.
Okay. So as we kind of explode into action, do you want us to roll initiative, like just jump in, or?
Yeah, so I would like you to roll initiative. Now, due to the fact that you're not moving, give me just a second actually, because I always forget I have to actually hit a button to start the combat. So let me do that first. So let's do that. It is going to be a surprise round, yes. And let me think for a second how I want to do this. Yes, it's going to be a surprise round. Yeah, we'll just go with that. Okay. All right. So go ahead and roll initiative, please. Roll. And he's not going to go, obviously, it's a surprise round. You're all going to be able to go first.
The lid of Ramune barrel sticks a little bit.
Can I please?
Cypress, you can go ahead before me.
Okay.
Jesus, what is with the rolls today?
Go. He's going to roll. Although he's not going to go first round, as you all know. And okay, so do we have everyone? Who are we missing? Cypress.
Oh, I didn't have my token clicked, so it didn't add it to the
Okay,
thing.
go ahead and roll it again. I'll just adjust the number. Click your token and roll.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so you had rolled an 11. Okay. That. Okay, and let's go ahead and reorder that. Oh, you know what? Cypress, what is your AC?
15.
Okay, can you guys see ACs? You guys can't see it, right?
I think I can see Andils and Torens.
Oh.
Okay, for some
One sec. I can only see mine.
reason, okay, I have to figure it out later. We're just gonna keep.
Oh,
Well,
it's because I can move their characters, is why. So it only shows.
oh, that's because you have permissions. Okay, we won't worry about that for today. I'll have to remember to fix that later, so no big deal. I don't know how to actually. How do I change our initiative? It's not a big deal because it's only. We'll just keep it. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, it's not a huge difference. Okay, all right. So, yeah. So go ahead and do what you're gonna do. Toren is first.
So I'm gonna pop out underneath the counter and ding him point blank with a crossbow.
Okay. Yeah. So immediately, Toren jumps up and just with the perfect shot. He's standing in one place, very easy, not very far. No way you're missing this. This is like missing, this is like kind of, what do you say, a blindside on a barn or something like that. You shoot at
Broadside of the
him.
barn.
Yeah, broadside, that's what it is. You shoot at him, but you notice as the arrow bounces off, doesn't seem to affect him. He seems to be wearing some type of protectant underneath because you hear a little bit of a like a sound, and the arrow bangs harmlessly off of whatever he's wearing underneath his shirt, which is definitely not visible at the moment, and it does not hit him, or it does not damage him, I should say.
All right, be careful, guys. He's wearing heavy armor or something.
Help if you begin combat. Okay, Erica. All right, anything else, Toren?
No.
All right, Andil.
I'm gonna go with a dart.
Okay. All right, yep, hits. Okay. So hearing what Toren has just said, you're like, oh, let me look for a spot that I can see some skin. And with perfect precision, you throw the dart and you get him in the neck, just right above, his collar. And he's like, ah! And yeah, definitely hits him. He kind of swats at the dart. Okay. Anything else?
That's it for this round.
Okay. Irene.
Oh, I think yeah, she's
yeah,
gonna.
I'll let Cypress go ahead.
Okay, Cypress. Mhm.
All right, Cypress will cast Hold Person on the guy.
Right. So that's a charisma check, right?
Let me.
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Got it. Thank you. Wisdom save, not check. Okay, he'll do a save. See if he passes.
Wisdom, yeah.
Saving throw.
Oof.
And you see him like, oh, and I'm telling this private. So you saw he he passed.
Yeah.
So he's like, ugh. And you see like his eyes start to kind of go wide, but then he steals whatever he has inside of him and he bites off the takeover of his mind. And it does not work.
Okay.
Almost.
Yeah. That would be
It was a
my
good roll.
turn though. Yeah.
Good
It was,
idea.
yeah.
Good idea too. Good idea.
No,
All right, Irene. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm glad I remembered that command would be super useless here. So I am going to try and give him no thunderous smite. Let's just see if I hit.
Okay. So you just raise up your longsword, you bring it down, and you hear a clank. He is definitely wearing armor. But you seem to connect. Go ahead and roll damage, please. Okay, doing one-handed or
Neat.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a shield, so one-handed.
Okay. So you go ahead and you just rip into him and you connect and he just and
I think I'll double down and smite him and kind of have the whole thing be non-lethal, but still expend the slot.
okay.
Just
nice.
insult to injury.
So it's minus 21 total. Okay. All right. As the power of the smite comes through your sword, and yeah, the guy's hurt, and he's just like, he tries to kind of move away a bit, but can't do it. He's between the counter and Irene, and he's stuck. All right.
Yeah, I'll stay right there on him and say, you are in well over your head. I suggest you come quietly. And yeah, that's the end of my turn.
That is
Okay,
true. We
go.
didn't ask him to do anything. We just started unloading on.
He's a dick. He pushed
Yeah.
our friend.
Oh yeah, no, and also yeah, we know he's an asshole. I told you guys all the shit he did in the memory. Yeah. All right.
And I think it was safe to assume he wouldn't have done anything willingly anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was just pointing out the humor.
Yeah, the shittiness of this person for sure. All right, Ramune, go ahead. Okay. Okay. Hits. Hits. Oh no, second one doesn't. Sorry, first one hits. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, advantage?
Yeah, I guess we're all supposed to be advantage. I didn't, but
Oh!
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't.
excuse
I
me.
didn't even remember, to be honest with you. But they all, everybody's except for Toren, hit anyway, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Opening one,
Well, I rolled. Well, I rolled twice anyway. Like
true.
it's just mine did no damage.
Okay. 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 Yep, hits. Okay. All right. So after having just absolutely pummeled this guy, he is not looking good at all. And he's just like, you hear him kind of like groaning. Right at that moment, you hear some footsteps and some people come running in. They're going to roll for initiative in a second. This is what they look like. Now, again, Cypress, you recognize these people as the people in the vision. The
Gotcha.
goons that came with them, they look very familiar. And they're like, what? And they kind of both simultaneously say that. They look confused, you know, and just kind of have lost blank stares on their faces. Probably not the brightest bulbs in the box, but who knows? All right. And so they are going to join the initiative. Oh. All right, Toren.
All right. After seeing these two gentlemen appear, I am going to debating whether or not I want to do an arcane shot or cast a chromatic orb. You know what? I'm gonna try out the new spell. I cast a acid chromatic orb at the one closest to me.
Okay. So we can do acid chromatic orb.
So
So that's 4 in. Okay, so that is 3d8
yep,
of
so
acid.
7 acid damage. Damn it.
Okay, got it. Okay. You see an orb come out of Torrent's hand, and it hits the guy's skin like sizzles. You just hear it, and you smell a slight burning of flesh. Not pleasant, not at all. And he just is like, ugh! And it hurts. But he's still up. All right.
I will then action surge
Mhm.
and fire a bursting arrow at him.
Okay.
Leave it, would you? Sorry.
One moment. Oh, that didn't roll.
Okay. So kind of you've gotten a little bit more of your bearings this time. And these guys appear to be normally dressed as well, but remembering that maybe they're wearing something underneath their clothes, like this first guy is, you aim for a soft part of the body that you can see, and you kind of get him like in the upper chest. You see his shirt has a slight V, so you get him right there. The arrow sinks in, and he just really just kind of disoriented at walking into this place and just seeing this happen. It's just very, very off-putting for him. And he kind of stumbles back, and that definitely hit.
All right, so he takes an extra 5 force damage,
Okay.
and since the guy further away from him is within 10 feet of him, he also takes 2d6 force damage.
Okay.
So he takes 7.
Okay, so he takes 7. This guy takes additional 5. Got it. Okay, so let's do. Okay, -7 and -5. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope, that is my turn.
Great. Andil.
1 sec. Foundry's still reloading for me. I got disconnected from my Wi-Fi.
Oh, no problem. I don't know why it has the concentration on all of you guys. Still, I'm gonna take those off. The concentration icon.
Oh, it's because when you cast anything with concentration, it'll put it on you, but it won't take it off. It leaves it
You didn't
on.
really take it off. That's kind of annoying. Okay. Still loading?
Yeah, I think I got it now.
Okay.
I'm still gonna go with another dot to the
Okay.
same guy.
Same guy, got it. Yeah, again, aiming for the neck. You nail him. And second dart, he is looking bad, like really bad. He is barely standing. His knees are starting to buckle a bit, and he is kind of almost leaning against the counter, but still has in his eyes a fight in his eyes. Anything else, Andil?
I'm gonna go up to him.
Okay.
And I'm gonna use a key point and an arm strike.
Okay. I'm assuming not lethal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
A dart is a monk weapon, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is.
Oh, so Kat, you don't need to use your key to do one unarmed strike, right? If you're doing the
Oh,
two
right.
flurry of blows, then you'd spend your key.
Right.
All right. So you go up to punch him, but amazingly, he manages to kind of twist out of the way just a bit with the groan, as even doing this small movement seems to cause him quite a bit of pain and does not connect.
I'll just stay here.
Okay. So this guy's completely surrounded, and we are on Cypress.
Okay. All right. Cypress will cast Entangle,
Okay.
and let me see the template. Yeah, he's gonna cast it right here, so it only hits these two dwarves. Sorry, I gotta move it. Yeah, so it only. Why is it?
So you're going to move it back just a step.
Yeah, so that it's only gonna hit these
Only hit them.
dwarves.
Got it. Okay, their save is strength, so they will both roll. Let's see. So it says, scroll up. I'm on a different screen than you all. So they have to make a strength save, so they'll do that.
One of these is not. Oh, what? Oh, there's 2 spell templates out. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna move it a little back in case they're trying to back out of here. All right, there we go.
Okay. The first one fails. The second one fails, even worse. Okay, so they are both restrained. And they have to use an action, it looks like, against your spell save DC to free themselves. So
Yeah.
they are both restrained. Okay, got it. Okay. All
And
right,
that's
anything
my.
else?
Nope, that's my turn.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Irene.
All right. So. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and get this dude out of, out of the way. I hope. Aha!
Okay,
Non-lethal. Let's just give him a big old bonk.
okay. What's the total?
6 points of damage.
Okay. Yeah, you give him a hit again, and this guy is like on his last leg. He's just his eyes are starting to roll back, but it's like, oh no. And you can see him fighting to pull any will out of him to fight back. But nope, he's still up.
I guess I will smite him. I'll use my last smite to knock him out.
Okay.
Wow, that's a little sad, but
A
I
bold
can hope for
statement.
damage.
Okay. So yeah, so he kind of drops to his knees and he falls and his head hits the ground with a thunk. He is out.
All right. Yeah, no, just I'll turn my sword and point to the other two and just say, I suggest you settle down peacefully before you end up like your boss. That's my turn.
Okay. Wow, so y'all managed to take him out before he even got to move, but that's how it happens sometimes. Okay. So the guys at the door are struggling against the vines, can't move. I'm gonna have them roll real quick to see if either one of them get out. I'll kind of have them do it together. So and then they will decide if what they're gonna do about what you said. And that is a fail. And that is a fail. All right. So they're still both restrained. Can't move. And so go ahead and roll. Are you intimidating them or persuading them?
I'd be intimidating.
Okay, this is going to be a pretty easy intimidation more than likely, but go ahead and roll intimidation with advantage. I mean, they're restrained, their boss is gone, they're not in a good place. Okay.
Nice.
So, yeah, so as you say that, you just see them kind of look at each other as they struggle against these vines that are twisting around their bodies, and they both kind of give a look like this probably isn't worth it. And one by one, they hold out their hands and they drop their scimitars. They're both using scimitars, and they surrender. We are out of combat.
All right, everyone's getting bound up, I guess, thoroughly.
And I'm assuming you just dropped the spell, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
maybe
I'll
once they're
drop.
bound, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not even trying to flee at this point. So even if you dropped it before, they see they have realized that they don't have much of a chance. So they wouldn't even try. Okay, so those two are bound, and the leader is also bound, I would assume. Saito is like, whoa. It's like, damn. That was good. And he kind of nods appreciatively, kind of can't believe that you all were able to take this guy out and take absolutely no, they didn't even get to hit you back. And he walks over to the guy and gives him a little kick. Nothing that would, add to damage on him, but just a little like kick, like asshole, and like
It's
walks
2
back
failed
over.
death saves.
And gives him and then walks back and says, "Well, now what?"
Now our friends here, sit down for a chat with us. And I guess we should kind of like, line them against a wall, like a little please line up.
Okay. So you want to put him over here against this wall, or?
Yeah, unless anyone has any objections, we kind of just group them together so they're easier to keep an eye on too.
Okay, we'll line him up over in the corner. Saito is actually going to come over and he's going to lock the door just to be safe. He's going to lock this door. And also he's locked the door leading to the office. And he's standing here as if to kind of block if they try anything. So the boss who's in the middle of the other two he's unconscious. The other two are kind of cursing under their breath, but not really saying much of anything else.
Okay.
Can I search the leader of these guys to see if he had anything on him? Like a
Absolutely.
letter or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and do an investigation check, please.
I'll help him with that, with help action.
Want to help? Okay. Okay.
So,
All right. Let me find what I'm looking for. Okay. So, Toren, you're looking for, you said like a letter, a note, something to that effect?
yeah, it's like I'm just searching all over. I'm just taking anything of interest.
Got it.
But
Okay.
specifically looking for like orders or anything.
Okay. So, you kind of start to pat him down, search his pockets, things like that. You find a dagger, and so I'm assuming you take that, but just a normal dagger, kind of like how people like hide a dagger down and like strap it to their like it's a dagger. So, as you reach in his pockets, you do find in kind of like his like so he's wearing, okay, so let me explain what he's wearing. He's wearing like a shirt, but he also has like a bit of like an open like a, okay, so there's like a shirt, like a tunic. Underneath that there's some armor, which you can feel. But then over that he's wearing like an open shirt. So you reach inside it. It's not a jacket, it's just a shirt that's unbuttoned. And so you reach into kind of like the inside of that shirt and you find a pocket that wouldn't be obvious because it's on the inside of his shirt. And inside of the pocket, you reach in and you grab a slip of paper. And I'm going to make the slip of paper that you find visible to you all in a second. Let me go to journal entries. And I think it's here. Where did I put this? I'm a little annoyed that I didn't make sure I knew exactly where I put this before the game. It's not there. Okay. Oh, wait, maybe it's here. Ah, this is it. Okay, found it. Okay. So I'm going to move this note to you all's active resources. So does everybody remember where the journal tab is? We don't use it a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's that like book, open book. Okay, so let me just close this and make that visible. So under party resources is where you're going to see this. So let me make this visible. Let's see if I do permission. And everybody can read this. Server. 3, 4, 5. Okay, save changes. Okay. So if you want to see the note, it's underneath, like I said, the journal entry. It's called note from ? You pull out kind of this small piece of parchment. And it just clearly someone just quickly scribbled down something on it. And it says, meet Toren in Crest, East Docks Warehouse, floor 2, East Room, come at 2100 hours.
What time is it now?
Oh, it's like after, it's after midnight, so it's pretty late. So it's definitely past 2100 at that time, or at
Yeah.
least on that day. Can everybody see the note?
Yeah, no, I was reading the note.
Okay.
I don't see it in the party resources.
Okay, let me do it this way. Toren, can you see the town investigation contract?
No.
Interesting. Okay, let me do something real quick. If I go to permission.
Oh, neither can I actually. Yeah.
Okay, so if I go to party resources here, let me do it this way. This will be easier. I'll move this one out. This one I don't want you guys to see yet. Okay. And I'm going to make the entire folder visible to everyone. So let's do. So I'm setting it up to where you all can actually make changes to it. Just I'm giving you the highest level of permission. So I don't think it needs to be said, just don't delete it. Okay. Please. But yeah, so not that I think you would, but I'm trying this to see if it works. Ramune and Toren. Save changes. All right, go ahead and hit refresh on your screens, please. That might help.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. So you should be able to see, 4 things in that stuff that you recognize from before, more than likely, and including the note from ? And so, yeah, you thoroughly search his body, but nothing else of note. No, other than the dagger. He seems to have nothing. Although he's wearing pretty decent plate armor, he seems to have nothing on him that is of any more interest or value other than that note, which seems, like it's probably something.
Wait, what kind of armor is he wearing?
He's wearing plate,
Full plate or half plate?
half plate.
Is that better than what I have? Oh, I'm gonna keep going. I just need to check something.
Okay.
Oh no, never mind. It's the same as what I have on. but I'll take that half plate anyway.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna take his half plate. Okay. All right. We'll get to that. We'll. So do you want to run that by the group? Do you want to run that by the group, or are you just gonna start doing it?
That's like I'll ask is like, are any of you opposed if I take his armor?
His armor is under his
Yes.
clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody opposed if I take it?
No.
And if I remember right, half plate is not the legs; it's just on the chest. So this isn't gonna get too bad. It's not gonna go beyond where you want it to go. So okay. So you just quickly then strip off the little jacket shirt and you take the armor. It's all banged up. It's definitely well worn. He can't protest because he's unconscious. Definitely well worn, but kind of a well crafted, and at one point would have been very, very nice and valuable. Maybe it could be taken to a shop and restored a bit. Not that it's bad, but to a newer condition. And so, yeah, you take the armor. Meanwhile, as you're doing this, the other guys are like just continuing to grumble angrily at their predicament. They are not happy. Hey, what else would you guys like to do? He's unconscious, so did you want to wake him up, or did you want to ask the other two guys any questions? Okay. Okay. All right. Did you want to go ahead and start asking? Got it. Anybody?
I'll ask like, so what are you two doing with this guy?
And they kind of look at each other, deciding if they're going to answer. And they just fold their arms and look at you with this kind of hardened stare. And the one guy's like, nothing.
I cast a ray of frost right by one of those guys' ears.
Okay.
Not to
Go.
hit him, but to kind of
Right. Just to kind of
across
stand a
here.
bit. Okay. Yeah. So seeing this beam of light and of cold come out of your hand, it like he felt like the cold coming from the frost, even though it didn't hit him, and he kind of like blanches to the side of it, like, ugh. Go ahead and roll intimidation with advantage.
Oh, for 7.
And he kind of like looks at it and he just looks at you. Let me actually have him roll. I always forget to do that. See if he's rightly intimidated. Yeah, no. He just kind of looks and kind of gives you a sneer and continues folding his arms with this like kind of pouty look, like, you know how like little kids do, like, I'm not telling or I'm not doing it. He kind of has that like pouty little look on his face. Yes.
Before Ramune does that, can I hold my hand up before you actually stab him? And try something not stabbing.
Mhm.
Ramune, you cool? I mean, you could still absolutely go ahead and try. Yeah, no, okay. If Ramune would respond, like, so as Ramune kind of stalks forward, I'll kind of raise my hand up. And I'd like to say, now, before I let my friend here do what he obviously plans to do, I'd strongly suggest that you comply, because after him comes me. And I'll use a thaumaturgy to make the ground shake harmlessly.
As you,
Um,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, that was about it. Yeah.
As you say that, you see the other guy, his eyes go wide, and you see a little bit of liquid forming a puddle underneath his legs. And he's like, we don't get paid enough for this. And he says, what do you want to know? The other guy's like, stop, quiet. He's like, quiet. And he says, what? We'll tell you everything.
All right. Who is this guy?
And he says, define who?
The guy we beat the shit out of.
And he says, well, he's our boss.
A name, please.
And the other guy's like, Stefan.
Okay, his name is Stefan. And why did he hire you two?
And he says, he hired us to just beat anybody up who resisted. That's all. We just take the payment. We don't really do anything else.
So he just hired you two as muscle, is what you're saying.
He says, yeah, that's what he hired us as. And if we had been in here before you all got started, and he makes a fist, kind of like, and like punches it in his hand and is like, ha ha ha, you don't want to know.
And he's like, okay, so you would have been the other two idiots we'd have beaten the crap out of. I was like, this guy didn't even get a chance to swing. What do you think you two would have done?
And they look at each other and they're like, he's soft. He's soft. And they kind of like agree. Clearly, not being in the position to be puffing at this point, but for some reason, the confidence has still remained, even though they're both scared. And so they're just, so the guy continues and he says, yeah, we don't even, we just beat people up, man. That's all we do. Beat people up. Okay.
You know who this guy was working for?
And he just he like does like a It's like, no, he doesn't tell us anything. He tells us when to show up, where to show up, and we follow. That's it. It's like he would never tell us that. We don't ask questions to our clients. We wouldn't be good muscle if we did, would we?
Well, I'll give you that, but now what to do with this idiot?
And the one guy kind of like takes his hand and raises it. He's like, I got an idea.
We're not killing him.
I know. Let us go. And then he'll be more willing to talk to you because he doesn't have his muscle. Yeah. Seems very pleased at his little idea. The other guy agrees. Yeah. You let him go with no protection. Let us go. He has no protection and he'll talk to you right away. I'm sure of it.
And if we
and what's stopping you two from calling the guards when we let you go?
And the guy's like, he does that seem like, he's like, we don't talk to guards. You serious? We don't care.
I suppose a more compelling question is, we could get the exact same effect by knocking you out and placing you in the back room, no?
And the guy kind of, it takes him like a minute to recover, or 5 seconds to recover, realizing that Irene is absolutely right. And he's like, no. And he says, not at all. All right, fine.
So my real question to you is, if we let you go, what's stopping you from jumping on the next boss or mission to rough up somebody in their shop?
And he says, I'm a changed man. I've learned my lesson, and you all have changed my life. I'll join the Church of the Creator. Yeah, both of us will, right? And the guy's like, what? What? And he kind of like gives the guy like a look. He says, right? And he's like, yeah.
Are these two humans or dwarves? I didn't get
They're
that.
dwarves. They're all three of them are dwarves. I'm sorry, the guy in the middle. Sorry, the guy in the middle is a human. I said that earlier. The guy in the middle is a human. The two on the left are the two on the left and right are dwarves.
I was like, why don't you help somebody in a smithy or something? You can at least do something productive there and get paid better. You won't get killed.
And the guy says, well, I don't want to be a smithy. That's what everybody expected, Dwarf, smithy. My dad was a smithy. My grandfather was a smithy. My great-grandfather was a smithy. And he goes on to like seven. And he's like, you're probably a smithy too, right?
No, I'm a huntsman.
And he says, but you wanted to be a smithy as a young dwarven boy. I wanted to do something different. I actually wanted to be an opera singer. But unfortunately, due to a horrific vocal accident, I could no longer sing, and so I had to resort to this. You all wouldn't kill a guy who just was trying to make his way in life and do something with himself besides being a smitty. Quite dramatically, by the way. This guy is like way over the top.
Resisting the urge to roll my eyes, I'll look at him and say, I'm not particularly excited about murdering you. However, you are going to face some consequences as we bring you to the guard. That being said, what happens next and how well that goes depends, and any good words we put in for you depends on your continued cooperation.
He just sits there and starts to sulk. It's like,
I'm getting vibes of that bandit group we arrested that got their inspiration from a freaking joke book.
Right.
Remember those guys, Irene?
Yeah.
It's like, what, did you guys find your calling to be muscle from a gag book too?
He says, gag book? He says, I don't read gag books. I'm smart. I read smart people books. And the guy says, yeah, so do I. And they kind of both sit there and they said, okay, here's the thing. You don't take us to the guards. We'll teach you how to fight. He says without much confidence.
This is just sad.
So they're just. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'll look, give him like a bland look, and I'll just say, "You're losing points."
And he says, and the other guy goes, we'll teach you how to garden. Yeah.
They're just digging the grave deeper for themselves, aren't they?
And the one guy says, I thought that he kind of like says in a loud whisper, and he says, look, I thought it would work. Okay, you guys can clearly hear this. I thought it would work. 'Cause, fancy people like them like flowers and shit. And he's like, quiet. And he gives him like a shush a shush hand signal. And then he says, all right, We're not saying anything else. And he does like a lip zip, type of symbol.
What an absolutely riveting conversation.
The guy starts to talk, but then remembers and shuts his mouth. So did you want to wake up the middle guy, or did you want to? These guys seem to be pretty dumb. This doesn't take a roll. Did you want to wake up the middle guy?
Yeah, we should put him in the back. Put either him or the other two in the back room first, so he feels alone.
Okay, so did you want to go ahead and just put him back there, or did you want to knock them out?
Any volunteers to keep these two comfortable?
You mean someone to go back and guard them, kind of watch them, right?
Yeah, watch the two.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, does anybody want to do that? Okay. So it sounds like you're not knocking them out, you're just bringing them to the back and having someone to watch over them. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, if someone wants to knock them out, I'm not going to be too worried.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's up to you guys either way. So let's just theory of the mind this to move forward. So yay or nay to knock them out. Ramune, I'll leave that to you since you're taking them back. Okay, cool. All right, so they're conscious, they're in the back, you're in the back with them. If you leave the door open, they're not visible by the door. You can hear the conversation. You can just stand here and listen and shout something if you want. Okay, so everybody else is staying up front, I'm assuming, or does anybody else want to go back?
I'll go back.
Okay, Andil will also go back. And okay, so Irene, you want to go ahead and wake up this guy?
Hey, Saito, do you have any smelling salts or anything to wake this guy up?
And he says, "Oh yeah, I have some of those." And he walks over and you see him grab a jar of the grainy, grainy stuff that you weren't 100% sure what it was. And he just comes up and hands it to you and says, "Here you go."
All right. As that I stand over and it's like, all right, come on, Sleeping Beauty, time to wake up.
And so you hear the guy like kind of stir, and he opens his eyes, still incredibly hurt. And he's like, in a very in a very pained tone, even more so than Saito earlier.
Oh, hello there. How you feeling, buddy?
And he just looks and he says, "Who are you?"
The guy as a member of the group who kicked the crap out of you.
He says, "I indeed." And he says, "Well, what do you want? Clearly, there's a reason he did this. You, his new security."
I'm going to lay on hands him for 5, and I'll say, now, you feeling better or worse completely depends on how cooperative you are. But what we are concerned citizens.
Like I go grab that box and bring it over and it's like, what did you want with this?
He looks at you and he says, "And his eyes go wide like he found it, and he says, "Who are you?" As he speaks, you see he has a couple of teeth missing in the front. His face is scarred. He's had a rough time in his life, you can tell. It's like, who are you?
Like, that doesn't matter. We know you were hired by someone to come get this. We found the little note you had in your inside shirt pocket.
He gives Toren a death stare, and he says, "It's not a question of who." And he says, "It's a question of why. I don't know who, and I don't know why."
How much did he pay you then?
And he kind of looks, kind of trying to decide if this is the information he's going to give, and he says, 100 gold a run.
A nice little tidy arrangement for you. You come in, beat the crap out of this guy, get a box, get 100 gold every single time you do this.
Says, "I trying to get it yourself now, I see."
Yeah, well, we know what this is used for. The question is, why did your employer want it?
And he says in a very slow and measured tone, "I don't know." Never breaking eye contact. This guy doesn't seem to be, although he's in a really bad predicament, he doesn't seem as easily intimidated as his goons, and he just gives you a hard stare, daring you to challenge what he just said.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, pal. I don't believe you.
And he says, of course you don't." And he says, "And you're probably going to cut off all of my toes, are you?" And he says, "I've been tortured before. I hate to break it to you." And he says, "But I don't have the name." And he shrugs.
And who's this Toren fella?
And he says, he has, and he kind of starts to um cringe a bit as he's saying it. And he says, he has the other ingredient, and he forces it out. And then a familiar thing happens. He starts to cover his ears and scream.
Oh.
But what he said was, in case you didn't get it, he has the next ingredient.
All right. We won't force you to say any more.
He shakes off the pain that he's clearly feeling, and he kind of slumps down, and he says, "You got the note. Find out for yourselves."
You supposed to meet him today or tomorrow?
And he says, "Tomorrow."
All right. We have to hand you over to the guards, but we'll just say you... Hey, Saito, if the guards ask, this guy was trying to steal gold from you, all right?
And Saito says, "Okay." And he looks at he seems to kind of look at his at his hand, and he says, "Noble thieves, eh?" noticing his missing ring and bracelet.
No. Just, we forgot that we wanted to make sure you didn't have the same kind of spell that this guy had. Sorry we didn't check for that.
And he opens his hand. He says, "Can I have my stuff back then?"
Oh, it's in your back room. None of us kept it.
And he runs back there and comes right back out, and you see him slipping on his ring, and he says, "Well, I want to thank you for helping me. And you're not going to tell, right?"
Yeah, he did this under duress. Wouldn't be very fair to you if we sent your ass to prison.
And he says, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." He says, "I'm just a small business owner, and I'm just trying to get navigate through the world." And he starts going back and like straightening up his shelves, but he's not really straightening them up. Like he's kind of doing this thing where someone's doing something but not really doing it. It's kind of like a nervous type of reaction, kind of pushing things around a bit, just quickly. If anything, you remember that this guy is very organized, reading the ledger and seeing how the shop is generally set up. It's kept in very, very good condition. And as he kind of shuffles through the bottles, he says, "And I might have to continue selling a bit of stuff to stay open. You won't hold that against me, right?" As he continues, like nervously.
As long as you understand that we have to keep this box.
And he says, "Okay, fair enough." And he walks over to the worm tongue box and hands it to you. And he says, "Oh, okay. Well, come again?" He says, kind of like like the standard greeting that a store owner gives, and as he continues nervously straightening up, not quite sure if he believes you all yet, that you won't turn him in, but yeah. Go ahead, Irene.
So Saito, without this specifically, what exactly do you plan on keeping off your books?
He says, "Oh no, just a little, some plants that may be no longer legal to sell. There's a whole list of them that we can no longer sell because they've changed since the event happened. So maybe just some of those."
How many of those are potent poisons?
And he says, "Well, I don't know. I mean, and
You're an alchemist. How could you not know?"
And he kind of like, he's like, "I don't know, maybe, I don't know, 7, 8. And he shrugs. And he says, "Look, some of the chemistries have changed. I'm not completely up on it yet. Okay. I'm learning though."
So
No.
how deadly is this stuff? I say, pointing to the worm tongue.
And he says, "Well, broken down properly by a gifted alchemist, it could be absolutely lethal. It can be." And he says, "It could kill any one man with a single hit."
Do you know if there's an antidote?
And he says, "Well, I don't know of one. There could be. I think that the changes in the chemistries of these plants are past the science for there to be antidotes yet."
Was there an antidote for it before it changed?
And he says, yes, there was. But this was mainly used for hunting, so it was rarely used. I don't know how to make it myself. It would only be used if a child accidentally ingested it for some reason, if someone carelessly left it out, or if someone got stuck by a dart with this coated.
Did you write? Do you know the formula for the antidote?
And he says, I do not. But I wouldn't recommend trying to make that as unless you're an alchemist yourself.
More asking if for the people you were forced to give this to.
And he says, well, I only gave it to him. Points at Stefan. And he says, this is not something that anybody else came in to get except for him. He did. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I reckon you'd say Ramune can hear what's going on, right?
Yeah, you can. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was also about to ask if I could roll history to try and remember if
Yeah, go to roll history. It's
there
fine.
was a certain tribe.
Um,
just to.
So as soon as Ramune, who heard, we'll say that Ramune did hear this because you were in the back and you have the door open, and Toren is like, isn't there a certain tribe that used poisons and had wrestling matches with women who betrayed them? And Toren's like, that, and you're like, it seems like something I remember. And Ramune's like, yes, the Vendakian barbarians. They use poisons for hunting all the time, and they're like, that's what it was. I knew I remembered that. The reaction to the words Valdakian barbarians is palpable. The two guys in the back that Andil and Ramune can see, Saito and Stefan, all react to your saying this. And Saito says, you know the Vendok barbarians? And you're alive?
Yeah, I wrestled their hunts. Their leader of their hunters.
the queen of the hunt. I think
Yeah, the
you
queen of the hunt.
wrestled. Did you wrestle M, or did you wrestle the matriarch?
No, Phineas wrestled the matriarch. I wrestled
Yeah,
him.
you wrestled M. Okay, got it. Okay. And Saito does this like okay, like he's like, yeah, sure, buddy, kind of like look, and he says, and then he kind of,
It's like, ask anyone at the party, they'll vouch for that.
and he kind of sidles over and he gives a little like nod and wink and says, I wouldn't mind wrestling her a little bit myself. Kind of laughs. And then like kind of you get the kind of the double meaning. He like walks off and he says, well, yeah, I don't know if I would. Your head is still on your shoulder, so I don't know how I feel about that, but whatever, buddy. And he kind of laughs at himself. The guy Stefan who despite himself kind of laughs too. As if they kind of don't believe.
Wrestling I meant, but all right.
And he says, he says, anyway, and they say, well, and Saito says, well, you know, I don't know, they might know something about this, but also, you know, I don't know if you know any poison experts. He's a ranger. If only. Okay. All right. So, what else would you like to ask, Stefan, if anything?
As like I look and said, we have to call the guards, right? We can't just let this go.
And he's like, says, do what you must. Doesn't matter. Gonna be killed anyway. And he shrugs, seemingly resigned to what's going to happen to him. And you can tell he's not talking about the guards.
Wait,
Oh,
why would you die? It's like we caught you trying to rob this guy. Why would that happen?
and he says, the person or persons or thing that I'm working for isn't going to take kindly to this failed mission. He kind of says with some resentment.
Be in the guardhouse. Unless this person kills all the guards, how would he get to you?
He says the pain in my head will drive me to killing myself because it's not going to stop.
Then we're going to be moving even more quickly to take care of your boss.
He says, nobody can run that quickly, young lady. And he says, just take me to the guards. I got nothing else to say.
All right. Oh, and I forgot. For Saito, I'll kind of look at him and be like, look, like if you're selling illegal stuff that can be used to, poison or hurt people, no. Illegal stuff for, bits and pieces, different ball game, basically.
And he just says, fine. And he says, all right. He says, well, you've taken all the worm tongue, so I have no more of that. And I'll cancel my shipments that could do that. He's kind of says resignedly.
I mean, think about it. For instance, do you want another scenario like this to happen? I say, pointing to Steph, and it's like, I mean, come on. What if the next time it's someone who's not as gentle as him?
And he says, all right, gentle. And he says, well, of course not. And he says, I said I'll cancel the shipments, okay? I'm more worried about you guys than I am of him at this point. He says, and he says it in a way that's to mock Stefan, like, they got the better of you so easily.
It's like, as like I said, Saito, come on. Now is not the time to kick a man while he's down.
And he says, and he just shrugs and he says, I'm a little bitter. This guy has been terrorizing my store for a long time.
Yeah, well, his boss implanted a spell on him that will make him kill himself if he fails. So you can kind of understand why he did it.
Okay, I'm assuming you're going to ask that. And so he says, well, all shipments come from Tarselville. And before that, I don't know. And I already told you I don't know who. I'm going to take you guys to the map here to show you what he's talking about real quick. So we're going to activate that. Okay. See my terribly built map? Can everybody see this?
I see a wall of gray.
Same.
Oh, never mind. It was just loading.
Cool. Okay. It must be. I do my best. Okay. So Saul's Crest is here. Okay. And Tarsleville is here. There's a ferry that goes from Tarsleville to Saul's Crest. So that's what he's talking about.
I realized I was muted, but I wanted to compliment you on the map because I like it.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, so he's talking about this ferry that goes, and that's all it does. It just goes, it ferries back and forth. Okay, so we'll head back to the other scene. Let's do that now. Okay. Yeah, so he just says Tarsleville, it comes through Tarsleville, but other than that, he has no idea. Any other questions for him?
I think I'm content.
Yeah.
Anything, Ramune, you were thinking of something, Andil? Okay. Andil?
No.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so you all pretty satisfied that you've gotten mostly everything from him. Him telling you the shipment and where it comes from. And as far as he knows, this is just information from him, but as far as he knows, and having the information about where this is going to be picked up from, you all take these 3 to the guards. Now you're just going to take them to the guardhouse, right? The same, the main guardhouse where you were probably at when you were unjustly arrested when you first came in. You just want to take them there. Do you want Cider to go with you?
Yeah, that might be best. Yeah.
Okay. And so the cover story then is that these guys were trying to rob Sido and you stopped them. Basically, right?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So you bring the guys in and you take them to the guardhouse, and there's a couple of night guards there, and you relay the story. Sido then speaks up and corroborates the story. None of them are talking. They're not saying a word. Corroborates the story and explaining that, these guys have been shaking his store down, and fortunately, as they were trying to do it, you all were walking by and you stopped the robbery in progress. And the guards buy the story, pretty plausible, honestly. The alchemy shops have very expensive ingredients. And so if he was closing up his shop for the night, it could definitely be a target. It's a very plausible story. So he stays behind to make a report to the guards. He needs to just stay for maybe like another 30 minutes or so to go over it and to make a report. And basically you all can, the guards thank you. They say they may contact you again if they need more information, but they basically let you go, and Sido is going to stay behind to make a report. Where would you like to go from here? So you have the worm tongue with you, right? So where would you like to go? Yeah, Toren, didn't you say you took the box, right? You said you would
Yeah, I took the box.
Okay. Yeah, so you have the box. Uh-huh. Okay, cool. Yep. So you take the flower, you press. It's a very beautiful color. And you really, really like this plant. You press the flower And where would you guys like to head to? It's pretty late at night at this point because you had the same night you went to the casino, so it's pretty late.
Think we should head back to Estes.
Yeah, you did say it was past 12 or something, right? So
Wait,
probably
yeah, it's like 1, 2 in the morning.
yeah, we should probably
At least, yeah.
head to bed.
Okay, so you all head back to Estes, and I have to make a bigger, like, you are always like talking to her in her room. I need to do more with her house. Okay. All right, so you all head back to Estes, and she's already asleep, so you all, I would assume just turn in for the night. The next day, as you all are waking up, Esta has some of her staff bringing you breakfast, coffee, teas, bread, jam, stuff like that, some fruit. And she comes in, she kind of like knocks on the door that you all are staying in, and she asks you back to her room. And the reason why she always asks you to her room is so you can have private conversations. So she's munching on just like what looks like a small piece of bread. And she sits on her bed and she says, and she says, well, I'm glad to see that you all are back and that you all are okay. It was not the safest mission. Did you learn anything from either one?
Sorry,
So I kind of
Erica,
said that.
my sound cut out when you were talking. What did you say?
So she just asked you guys, what did you learn? But my mouth got ahead of my thoughts when I said that. You've already told her what happened at the Topaz Lounge because you would come back and talk to her and she was like, you need to go straight to that other place, to the store. So she's really asking for any information now, any new information that you all might have gotten from the store. And from, she doesn't know what happened. She has no idea.
I'm going to hand her the box I took.
She looks at the box and she kind of she opens it and she picks up one of the plants and she sniffs it a bit and she says, and you know what this is?
Yeah, it's a worm tongue.
And she says, worm tongue. And she says, yeah, I'm not quite familiar with that plant. Being a person who's probably grown up mostly in urban areas like Harkenstow, this plant is pretty remote. So it wouldn't be surprising that she wouldn't have heard of it. It's out in the wretch. And so she kind of, thinks about it and she says, well, this does make sense though. If this is something that's used to make poisons, this could be the ingredients that we were looking for that's being used for this attack.
Yeah, it was originally used as a hunting poison, but since the event, it got quite a bit more potent.
She says, I see. And she shakes her head and she says, that makes sense. And she says, how much do any of you know about poisons? If you're not on mute, everybody, you may want to put yourself on mute. I hear some background noise. But her question was, how much do you all know about poisons?
Next to none.
The very basics.
And she nods her head and she says, okay. And she says, well, it's a little early to go get gender. The person that you know, putting all of our heads together, I think that we can come up with something. Is this someone who you can talk to? Okay. Okay. And she says, I see. And she says, well, anything else that you found out?
Yeah, the guy we arrested, he had a spell on him that will basically a kill switch.
And she says, a kill switch. She looks quite disturbed by that term and the way that you used it.
Basically a spell that forces someone to kill themselves so they can't spill information.
And she gasped audibly and she says, so you're telling me that the person that had this information was unable to speak due to a spell?
No, he was able to. It caused serious. It doesn't kill someone instantly. It causes severe pain whenever they speak about something that the person who cast it doesn't want them talking about.
A look of extreme distress goes over her face and she says, I don't know a lot about magic, although I've just started learning it myself, but that is, I don't think I need to say this, but that is very, very powerful. Whoever did this, and she kind of shakes her head and she puts her hand in her head and she says, but why, if they have magic that powerful, would they be using poisons? Doesn't make a lot of sense. They could just magically, do what they need to do. And she shrugs.
Yeah, we encountered someone else who had a similar ability. You
Yeah.
remember that little girl who was in the guardhouse when we arrived?
And she says, oh, little Yara, Celine's, and she puts up a quotes and she says, daughter.
Yeah, she was kidnapped and forced to lure people to their deaths.
And she says, I actually have heard that story, but you think I thought you all killed that person.
We did. Doesn't mean it was the only person to have that kind of ability.
And she just puts her face in her hand and she says, yes, of course. People like that don't work alone. And she says, I don't know what we're getting ourselves into here, but do you mind if I take at least some of that? And the other group I'm working with, the resistance group, they may be able to also provide some insight.
Yeah, you can take the boxes. That I can't do anything with it.
Okay. So she takes the box and she kind of puts it in the corner of her room and she says, yeah, they're due to visit and sometime this week. I don't really always know when they're going to come to talk to me. And she seems to be mostly satisfied but with what you've told her, but she says, is that all that you guys have learned?
Oh, I pull out the note. I said, yeah, we've found this, and it said, this is where, they took the other. There were 2 more boxes of that. This is where they took the other 2 boxes.
She takes the note and she says, she reads it quickly and she says, "Oh, this makes sense." And she says, "It's a shipping town." And she says, "Yes, it's being shipped from somewhere through this town, and that would make a lot of sense to pick this up from there." And she says, 8 o'clock, whatever, 9 o'clock, I think 2100 hours. 2100 hours. And she says, "So sometime in the future, the person that you took this note from was going to pick up another
Yeah.
shipment from this location at this time."
No, to deliver it. This is delivery location. He was supposed to beat him tomorrow after picking up that box.
And she says, "I see." And she shakes her head and she says, "Well, obviously we have to find out who that person is, don't we?"
Yes, apparently they have the next piece of presumably the poison.
And she says, "That's perfect. That's what he told you?"
Well, you need a very skilled alchemist to make the poison out of that.
And she says, "Yes. And if he has the other ingredient, hopefully we can figure out exactly what they're making. This is amazing." And she says, "Would you all mind having a person coming with you?" And she says, "You know why I can't go." And she seems a little bit embarrassed at being so presumptuous that you would go. And she says, "You know why I can't go, unfortunately, but," reminding you back to the time where they have to stay pretty removed from all this as they're too recognizable as children of privileged people. And she says, "Jander." And Jander, I'm going to make a page for the Honored Sons when I have time. It's actually already built. I have to tighten up some things. But she said, "Jander, he knows how to stay in the shadows, and he knows that town well. And he's also not as obvious as the rest of us are." She says, kind of picking her words carefully. "He's a little bit more low key. He should come with you. I think that he would provide a lot of help." And she says, "I will, when do you all plan on going?" Anybody remember
Provided
that?
it's not too conspicuous an area, we could case it out quietly, or just get a lay of the land, or perhaps we could just go over at 8 o'clock and lie in wait.
And she says, "Well, this is South Crest. It is a shipping town, and there is a docks area. I'm assuming that this building," and she studies the note and she says, "East." Yes. And she kind of puts it together in her head. She says, "Yes, this is probably one of the warehouses in the back of the town close to the docks. You could probably quickly find it if you were to maybe nonchalantly ask a couple of people where the warehouse district is, and then you'd be able to find the numbered buildings. I don't know what's in that building, though. As far as I know, it's just a warehouse, if it's where I'm thinking."
I suppose we can see how we feel in the morning as to what direction we should follow.
And she says, yes. And she looks concerned and she says, this is going to probably get a lot worse. Are you all sure you're up for this?
Sure as can be.
Yeah.
All right. We will end there. So, I'm going to remind everybody of the things that we have kind of that we can do. Several things right now. We have this lead, which is the only time sensitive thing to be honest. So it is time sensitive. So this would be something that you should, do the next evening, because he did say they were coming the next evening. However, a reminder, you also have the contract from the Alloria Conservation Alliance office, which you haven't signed yet. But you may want to go back and read the wiki as to exactly what the significance of that contract is and how it concerns you. You have the town notice board. At any point, you can look at that, or you can do something else totally out of left field. But those are the immediate things that you have. Oh, also, almost forgot, Julius Westgard, who is the creative director of the Harlequins Theater. At some point, you were thinking of stopping by and talking to him a little bit more about what's going on with that. So, you have all these things kind of up in the air right now that you can do any one of them. All right, so we will end right there. So I'll be on.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be on for a little bit. I like how you say that. Always say, Jono, I'll be on for a little bit. So I'll be on for a little bit if you want to talk about anything or ask for any clarifications. But other than that, we'll end it there. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.